Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining us from. Welcome to our Q2 Agentic AI Showcase, brought to you by our friends at Lumi AI, Precisely, Domino Data Lab, and SAS. I'm Ibrahim, co-founder and president of Data Science Connect, the world's largest data and AI ecosystem for enterprise leaders. Today, we're excited to welcome hundreds of attendees from all over the world for an exclusive virtual event showcasing the most innovative agentic AI solutions through concise 10-minute demos. At DSD, we value your time and have designed this event to provide impactful demos without any unnecessary fluff. Quickly identify solutions that meet your business needs and connect directly with the top leaders of pioneering agentic AI companies. We're honored to hear from a distinguished group of experts today from some of the leading solutions in agentic AI. Ibrahim Ashqar, co-founder and CEO of Lumi AI, Carmen, Adame, senior manager of product marketing at Precisely, Nick Jablonski, field CTO at Domino Data Lab, and Marinela Profi, global market strategy leader for AI and agentic AI at SAS. Before we begin, a few housekeeping items. To make this feel a little more in person, we suggest you add a photo to your profile and include your bio, LinkedIn profile, and other information you want your fellow attendees to see. Next, please take advantage of the Q&A and chat features throughout the webinar. Presenters may address your questions during their allotted 10-minute time slot, or may respond directly in the Q&A and chat sections afterwards. If you're wondering where your organization stands compared to others on your agentic AI journey, check out the poll questions in the right side. And finally, if you'd like to learn more about any of the solutions you see today or book a full demo, check out the calls to action below throughout the webinar from our sponsors. Now, without further ado, excited to kick off our agentic AI showcase with our friend Ibrahim Ashqar, co-founder and CEO at Lumi AI. Welcome, Ibrahim. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me, Brian. You can hear my audio coming through all fine?
I can, yeah. And if you want to go ahead and share your screen, I'll make sure that's all set up and then turn things over to you.
Yep, I think it's coming through.
All good.
All right, perfect. Well, hello everyone. I'm Ibrahim from Lumi AI. We help companies set up an agentic system that proactively surfaces actionable insights hidden in large quantities of operational data sets. So think data that either originates from some sort of ERP, like SAP or Oracle, or stored in a data warehouse like BigQuery, Redshift, or Snowflake. We can connect to any or all of these major databases, and once connected, users can simply define their objectives in plain language. So similar to kind of how Codex has the /goal, and let Lumi run in the background and proactively surface issues or opportunities to relevant stakeholders. We work with a variety of mid to large Fortune 500 enterprises, and for each of these customers, we typically start off with a pilot where success is anchored on delivering clear, quantifiable ROI against a critical business objective. We do this because we want choosing Lumi to be a math decision, not a leap of faith. We can get you set up within 1 to 2 weeks, and we're really proud of our 90% pilot graduation rate. I'd encourage you all to check out our case studies on our website to learn more about how customers like Kroger, HP, Deloitte, Swarovski, Compass Group have used Lumi to improve metrics like average order value, ordered versus shipped, or more broadly to reduce procurement costs or free up working capital. This is the new standard for analytics, right? Having this agentic system that is connected directly to your data sources or your data warehouse and understands the quirks of your data model, your business terminology, any SOPs, any behavioral, tribal knowledge that may exist, and where both business users and data teams alike can just interact with it in plain language through a conversational chat interface. If you haven't started building towards this, you are starting to fall behind, because the question is no longer whether analytics should be agentic, it's how quickly you can operationalize that. And the fastest way to do that is by investing in building a robust, high-quality context layer, because having better context drives deeper, more strategic, proactive insights. And with Lumi, we make the process of kind of climbing up this curve very easy and intuitive. And so let me show you what that actually looks like. I'll jump into the platform now. So there's really a few modules to note over here, and I'll briefly try to cover as much ground as possible in the short amount of time that we have. I'll start off with actually an example in my inbox, right? So what we're looking at here is essentially an alert that Lumi sent a user, in this case an inventory planner, about an increase in excess inventory. So clicking on the link essentially opens up the, there we go, yeah. Opens up the insight, and what we can see here are kind of the full details. So first and foremost, I want to draw your attention to the transparency. There are no black boxes here. Lumi shows you the full prompt that was used to generate the insight. And you can also click in to see the actual explanation and assumptions, as well as the actual code that was dynamically generated by Lumi to answer the user's questions. Again, no black boxes here. It's all about building trust through being as transparent as possible with the user. All the visualizations are highly customizable, so there's a wide variety of controls over here, and you can make some really stunning visualizations as you'd like. Lumi also gives you a summary of insights, so these are AI generated, about just the key takeaways of what you need to know. In this case, clearly calling out this outlier over here, location 87, saying, hey, it has low average weekly sales and very high weeks of supply. So there's clearly excess inventory happening at this location, indicating overstocking. It's also recommending there's probably opportunities for inventory optimization or redistribution. And to kind of explore that further, redistribution is a good idea. To explore that further, all you have to do is click drill down. And when you do that, it essentially opens up the chat module. So I'll make this full screen over here. It opens up the chat module. All the data is already preloaded. You can toggle between chart and table to see the underlying raw data. At any point in time, you can kind of copy the data, download it to CSV or Excel that's fully available to you. You get a summary of findings. So, what are the key takeaways you need to know about, as well as clickable follow-ups. This is Lumi thinking alongside you, trying to tell you what is the best next step to take in light of the insight that you're having over here. Alternatively, you can just ask whatever question that you want. And in this case, and since we're just interested in location 87, I can kind of ask questions like, hey, what items are driving excess inventory at location 87? And then instantly what you'll see is Lumi spring into action. So right now it's kind of thinking through, and if you want to see it out loud, you can toggle the show thinking, and it essentially shows you what's happening at every step of the way. First off, asking Lumi to pull the necessary context. So this is Lumi's context agent saying, hey, here are all the tables and fields, as well as the relevant details that I pulled from your knowledge base that I think you'll need to answer the user's question. And then the other agent generates the query, so the explanation, the assumptions, as well as the actual code needed to answer the user's question. The code then is generated in the database or ran in the database. The data is retrieved, auto-visualized, and you get a summary of findings in just a moment. In this case, I'll just toggle over to the table tab. It's probably cleaner. And so now at this point, we've isolated the top offenders. Okay, so we got an alert. There's critical overstocking issue at 87. We then asked, what are the specific items driving the excess inventory? We've isolated them. And now at this point, we should try to see like, okay, what can we do about this inventory, right? What can we do with these items? And so my next prompt will be actually more complicated. And this is where the power of Lumi really shines. I can ask questions like, for each of these items, find the best location to absorb the excess inventory, right? And now think of it, this is actually a pretty complex analysis, right? We're asking Lumi to give us a recommendation. This is a classical inventory rebalancing analysis. It's quite involved. It requires multi-step reasoning and nuanced logic. We're essentially asking Lumi to analyze sales and inventory across every single item store combination in the network, find out where, if there is any locations that can absorb this excess inventory and sell it. This type of analysis would usually take a human analyst a few days to a few weeks to craft, whereas with Lumi, we can kind of do this in a matter of seconds, right? And you can kind of see the logic's quite involved. This is a pretty large data set. There's like 100 million records that are kind of being crunched at the moment, so it may take a moment for it to run. In the meantime, other things I want to draw attention to is the ability to attach PDFs and Excel files, the ability to look at the prompt helper to just understand what data is available for you to query. You can also look at the preset prompts that are made available to you, just sample inspiration and things like that. So at this point, we got our results back. And what we can see here is now we got a very clear, actionable list, right? The items, how many units we should transfer, and to what location we should transfer them to, right? And so this is quite phenomenal if you think of it. We got an alert saying, hey, there's a lot of inventory. We then found out the specific issue, specific items causing the excess inventory, and then we figured out well, what should we do with these items? And we got the recommendations within seconds. And essentially acting on these recommendations would allow you to free up working capital by reducing the amount of inventory you have in the network. At this point, there's a few actions you can take. So you can give this a thumbs up, thumbs down, which will reinforce behavior. You can request verification. Hey, data team, can you validate? Or hey, supply team, can you action on this? You can share the insights with anyone on the team. Or, and to take this back to where we started, you can choose to add this to a board. So demo. And when you add an insight to a board, this is where you can schedule any downstream automations, alerts, things of that nature. So there's a lot of flexibility in kind of the designs that you have. You can publish, you can choose a refresh cadence. You can expand the card, and this is where you can set any alerts as needed, right? Alert me, alert everyone when any of these conditions happen. You can keep these personalized, or you can, again, publish them with everyone on the team. You can have as many boards as you want to as needed. Essentially, enabling such high quality responses and such a smooth experience from agentic systems requires rich context. And this is managed through the knowledge base, which essentially acts as that central repository to curate and maintain that critical context, which in this day and age in AI is essentially infrastructure. To create a knowledge base, you first have to establish a connection. So again, we have a wide variety of connectors to all the major databases, ERPs, or data warehouses. All you got to do is give us read-only credentials. For the sake of this demo, I'll just kind of move forward. And once you establish a connection, you're going to be asked to create the data model or the semantic model. And in this case, you have two options. You can either choose to manually configure the knowledge base or leverage the magic wand. So the magic wand is a new feature that we've released and essentially uses an agent to streamline the setup. All you have to do is define what type of data you're working with. For example, supply chain data that originates from SAP and my business priorities to optimize inventory. And then an agent will use this context, go into your database or data warehouse, and essentially create the semantic model for you. It'll sample every single table or field, profile them, and figure out what tables do I need in order to help achieve the objective moving forward. This process takes typically 15, 20 minutes to run, so it's quite intensive, so I can't showcase it right now, but I'll show you what a complete knowledge base would look like. So let me just delete this and get in over here. Perfect. So with a complete knowledge base, you will be able to see all the tables and fields associated with each of these tables. You get a preview as well. And with the preview, you can sample metametrics. So the percentage of null values, the min, the max values, the kind of distinct items. So all of this is just context that's made available. To edit at any point in time, you can come in and click edit. And that's where you can bring in new tables. You can bring in new fields. Essentially, this is just the interface to manage that context that the AI needs in order to generate high quality responses. If you use the magic wand, it will auto-populate this for you. The model tab essentially allows you to see what Lumi understands about your data, allows you to see how, for example, we have a look here. Yeah, how each of these tables are joined to one another. For example, how the bill of materials tables can join to the product master. You can define explicit join conditions as needed. Again, all of this is extra context that is made available to the agents when answering users' questions. To supplement this, we also have business context. So any aliases, KPIs, metrics, any stream of consciousness, tribal knowledge that is inherent to your business, you can document it here. You can also import context from other sources. That's very easy. Usually most solutions have like a one catch-all custom instructions prompt. With Lumi, you can have as many bucketed details as needed. Think of these as skills that can be pulled upon whenever Lumi is trying to answer user questions. We also have a concept called memories. So again, thumbs up, thumbs down. This is where all this feedback lands, and this is the interface to manage that feedback. So you can choose to commit or ignore memories or feedback into the knowledge base, only further reinforcing behavior. So here's examples of good, do more of good, or here's examples of bad, avoid this approach. And then finally, Lumi is an enterprise-grade application, so all the bells and whistles to manage who's a viewer, who's a contributor, who has access to the data, column level, row level, that's all available to you. And so in summary, Lumi's knowledge base is just a highly streamlined context management interface that gives users a lot of control and precision over the context needed to enable high-quality responses from agentic systems geared towards data analytics. Jumping back into the deck for a second to get started, and for enterprises looking for a low-risk, low-effort way to try Lumi's capabilities, we have a pilot program where success hinges on proving ROI. We offer white glove onboarding services requiring minimal effort from your team and an average time to value of 1 to 2 weeks. Thank you so much for your time. If you'd like to enroll, feel free to reach out or scan the QR code. We're happy to help out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibrahim, for a great demo. We will now welcome Carmen Adame onto the stage from Precisely. Welcome, Carmen.
Hello, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Let me show my screen. Okay, hello. My name is Carmen Adame, and I am a senior product marketing manager here at Precisely. And over the next 10 minutes, I really just want to sort of walk you through what it looks like when an AI agent has access to trusted production-ready real-world data and what that can really unlock for an enterprise. Before we get into that, I just really want to show you really what the problem here is. You see, AI agents are getting really good at making a bunch of reasoning, but reasoning on bad data that is trapped in silos, that is incomplete, that is inconsistent, it doesn't produce very good decisions. It produces really confident wrong answers. And that is the agentic AI data integrity gap. The agent is only as good as the data that is pulling from. So most enterprises haven't really solved this. They have gotten really good at the intelligence level and the layer that is right above it, but not yet at solving their data problems that are running most of these agents. And that really is where Precisely closes the gap. We unify these hybrid environments, whether they're legacy systems, and we can enrich the records with location and third-party data. And we also deliver it with real-time governance. So we are building data integrity, and this is really what helps your data stack just much better operationalize your AI without overhauling the whole thing. And so I want to show you how Precisely does that. And we have about 97% of our Fortune 100 customers are utilizing Precisely really to solve their AI data integrity issues. And so let's just jump over to what it can actually look like. Now, let me assume the position of somebody that's trying to solve and enrich some merchant location at, we're going to type an address, and this one is going to be 516th Mall in Denver. Cool. We're going to ask to validate.
Carmen, we cannot see your demo. If you can switch your screen over for us.
Thank you for calling that. You see this purple box?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Very nice. Okay. So let me copy and paste this. We're going to validate the address. We're going to also pull property and business data. We're going to ask it to identify nearby points of interest and property location context for the car transaction enrichment. And we copy. Magic. All right. And we're going to send it. And we're going to let it do what it should do. So we are resolving this merchant location, and it's still actively loading the data. And so I want to show you what it's actually doing as it's pulling in this information. So first of all, the location here, when I typed it, I was putting in a few typos. So 500 Street Mall data. It has verified the report. It has validated and geocoded the information. It confirmed the fact that this was an alias. And it has now verified it with a 98% confidence score. So we can tell the type of information that it's pulling. So it didn't trust the data, it fixed it, it appended a precisely ID, and that is a unique identifier, and it's going to be carrying it downstream for us. Then it's pulling in property and building profile information. So it is giving us property attributes, it's giving us parcel data and buildings. We can look at the fact that in this parcel, there's 3 different types of constructions, right? We are being able to pull aerial imagery from GeoX. So we are partners with GeoX. We have multiple partners through our data link program, where it allows you to pull in data, whether you're utilizing it from Dun & Bradstreet, from TomTom, from Shovels AI, and be able to easily connect that type of data to any other type of enrichment data that you might be utilizing. But it doesn't just stop there. It recognizes the fact that there's a lot of different businesses. This is clearly a mall, right? And so it's pulling in the fact that there's 39 different businesses at this place. Dining, retail, entertainment, and different services. And so we get the information for this, and as a merchant, as a banker, or as somebody involved in financial services, this is type of information that would help me verify the data and understand, the type of context and enrichment that is happening for card and car transactions. So we get better customer data, right? Better fraud categorization. There is no manual lookup. When we keep on looking at the type of information, because of the prompt that we gave it, we can look at how much foot traffic there is in a 30-day look back. We can look at when is the highest peak for the information. We can see the type of neighborhood that this is. It is a very walkable neighborhood. And also the type of people that live within this area, right? So it's a very high income neighborhood, and the property values are relatively good. It gives us some information about the fact that, hey, this is a very high income area, highly educated, but also there's crime that is happening. And so as a merchant, I would be very interested in this. But all of the information doesn't live in a silo, right? It all lives within context. And so it gives to us really that little bit of intelligence of saying, hey, there is fraud and there is crime that happens here, but that is because it's a very high condensation of people and population, and that tends to happen. So adjust for that, because that is what we are looking for. And then as we keep on taking a look at the information, we have tax jurisdiction. It gives us the information to a 100% match rate. And the type of enrichment, a summary of all of the data that we were able to pull from. So this happened with a single sentence. When I scroll back, it happened with a single sentence. It pulled multiple different types of databases, things that usually take a very, very long time. And it also gives us information of the type of data, right, that is being utilized and the vintage of the data. And so all of this happens so easily. And this is just a sample of the type of information that you can pull when you are trusting the data. This is not just limited to, let's say, this report, but this is raw data. Whether you want to make different types of reports, whether you want to make, different applications, right? You can access precisely data via APIs, via MCP servers. This is an MCP server trial that we are utilizing here. And so really, when it comes to data, the world is your oyster. And so the problems that you might be encountering sometimes are not just because of the intelligence layer. In reality, what's happening is the context layer, right? And the data that fuels it is the most important part for our data integrity issues, and also being able to get the best decisions from our data. So solving the data layer, solving the intelligence layer, those are the first things that we want to take care of when it comes to data integrity and when it comes to AI. And with that, I think we can pass it on.
Thank you for a great demo, Carmen. I will now welcome Marinela Profi from SAS.
Hi, everyone. Can you all see me and hear me?
Yes, we can see you and hear you.
All righty. Thank you. So I cannot share my screen because it says, okay, somebody else was sharing it, but I, all righty. Let me know if you're able to see the presentation.
Looks great. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in today. I'm Marinela Profi. I am the market strategy lead for AI and Agentic AI at SAS. I'm based in the United States, Raleigh, North Carolina, but I've been traveling really globally. I'm in Europe right now to meet customers and partners and showcase about our technology. So for today's demo, I am going to take you into a world that we all understand, which is the grocery store. Now, a grocery store is similar to other types of organizations in the sense that it has thousands of products, in the sense that it has constant demand fluctuations and promotions that can really make or break profitability. And think about all the marketing decisions. So today I'm going to show you how the grocery store, and that's what's the use case and the data that we have prepared for the demo is based on, but really any kind of business that has similar problems can move from data to insight to decision to action with governance and trust using the new AI assisted and agentic capabilities and experiences that we have built within our platform. When I say our platform, I'm really talking about SAS Via. SAS Via is a data and AI platform that is provided by SAS, and at its core, it brings together all the capabilities that agents need to operate responsibly and at scale. So access to trusted data, knowledge base, advanced analytics and models for deterministic decisions, integration with any LLM of choice, rack capabilities to ground agents in the right business context, the right data, embedded governance, and decisioning. So we really are looking at that full enterprise-ready AI and agentic AI ecosystem. Over the past year, we specifically announced 3 main new capabilities that I'm going to show you today as well as part of SAS Via, which are the SAS Via Copilot, your personal assistant that can help you execute actions and tasks across the entire data and AI lifecycle. SAS Via MCP servers, which allows you to expose all SAS capabilities as tools for any external agent to leverage from their LLM interface of choice. I'm going to show you an example on how you can invoke SAS capabilities from a Claude interface today, but it can be really done in Microsoft Teams or any other LLM of choice. And last but not least, the SAS Agentic AI Accelerator, which is a free open source framework and tool for our users to build agents in a guided and structured way using pre-built components to make your life easier. So these are just some of the use cases and examples that are in production and at an enterprise level that we have been developed over the past year. I'm also going to share 2 use cases from real world organizations at the end of the demo. But what we're talking about today is that we have moved from an AI that only informs to an AI that acts. That is the main difference, right? When we talk about agents, we now have systems that are not able to just inform us and give us insights from our data, but they're also able to take decisions and actions on top of those insights. And so it's really important that before we go ahead and replace the human as a quality control layer, we really want to make sure that we have in place all the capabilities that are needed, from what the human in the loop, that it still remains relevant, the governance, the accountability, transparency, monitoring performance, and all of that. So as I mentioned before, today I'm going to demo a use case that is based on a grocery store. I have some data, and so let's get started. We'll start where every decision should begin with, right? With data. Here I am in SAS Via Data and AI Studio, which is our environment for doing data pre-processing as part of Via. And I want to do some data preparation based on the data sets that I have to then pass to the business analysts that can use that data set for gaining other insights, building some models, and building dashboards. So instead of doing all the drag and dropping typically or the manual coding by myself, I have my VIA Copilot here to help me. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start by asking VIA Copilot to import the data sets that I need, which are currently all in a CSV format. These are tables that include point of sales transactions across all stores, inventory levels by SKU, customer information, store information. Once I have imported the data sets, I can start with my data pre-processing. So I want to add geolocation information for each of the stores, like latitude and longitude. I'm a Python coder, so typically I would add a Python node and type my code manually. But now with Copilot, it can add the Python node for me, generate the code, and create, you can see here, the latitude and longitude. So you can also create not just SAS code, but also Python code within SAS. Now I'm going to ask Copilot to go ahead as a final step to join the tables for me and create a unique big table in a format that the business analyst can use for exploratory insights. What is happening now that Copilot behind the scenes is understanding the context of the request, the data structure, the business intent, and it really generated all that data pipeline for me, which I can run. And now I can see the final output table, which is ready. It has the new columns that I created with the help of Copilot. And I can now go ahead and pass it to the business analyst who is going to use it for exploratory insights and further analysis. For that, we're going to move into visual analytics, which is our environment to build dashboards and modelings within SAS VIA. I'm starting here from a blank Canva. I have the data that the data analyst sent to me, and I want to use it to build a dashboard that helps me see which products are at risk of stock out and what the future sales trends look like. Now, we do believe at SAS that building dashboards should not be a time-consuming task anymore, but rather a process that helps you go from data to decision faster, but most importantly, in a trusted way. We've made that easier with SAS VIA Copilot, that it's embedded into SAS Visual Analytics as well. And just something really important to point out, Copilot does not expose your private data to any LLM. It is in your VIA environment, so everything is kept private, and it respects all the security and compliance policies that your organizations have. So let's go ahead and take a look and build this dashboard. The first thing, I'm going to ask Copilot to generate a map that helps me understand the general distribution of stores geographically and their profitability. And I can see that created. So for my analysis, I want to go ahead and create two new variables to enrich my data set. The first is daily sales rate for each product, and the second is days of supply. Creating new variables can be manually time-consuming, but now with VIA Copilot, it understands the data type and it creates, as you can see here on the left, the two new variables that I can immediately go ahead and use in my analysis. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Copilot to showcase the daily sales rate of my products and place it right to my geomap. What is happening now is that Copilot is recommending visualizations, building them for you, and even suggesting the right analytical approach. You can see that in this case, it generated a bar chart, which is great and the best type of graph to understand the sales rate for each product. I'm going to question now Copilot saying, hey, looking at this bar chart, are there any products where the days of supply remaining is then less than 3? And Copilot replies to me showcasing that it's not just a visual generator, but it actually is an assistant as a business analyst and can really provide ad hoc insights on your data by doing that analytical work for you. So after I'm going to have now Copilot to display and highlight those 3 products in different colors for me, let's now go ahead and look into the future. I'm going to ask Copilot now to build a forecasting model to essentially predict the sales over the next few months. What's powerful here is that Copilot just built a dashboard, like a forecasting model, without needing to switch tools or write complex code, but it's really understanding, and it immediately linked the forecasting model with the bar chart, so I can see for each of the product what is the historical data sales and what is the prediction. For example, here I selected limes, and we can see that there is the prediction of demand for limes, that it's showing that it's increasing. So there is a prediction of sales for limes that it's going to increase. So it looks great. I'm ready now to put some finishing touches on the dashboard. I'm going to ask Copilot to incorporate a dark theme and a descriptive title so that before I hand it over to the store manager to use these insights to make decisions, it's clear on what this dashboard that I built is about. Alrighty, so now let's move into the next step, which is I want to use this insights to make decisions. Here, I am still in SAS Via. This is the environment that is called SAS Intelligent Decisioning, the module, where based on the restocking notifications from the dashboard, I have built a restocking decision flow. What it's very powerful here is that you can make this entire flow that has analytics, business rules available within a conversational agent using via MCP servers. We are now, what you're doing here by clicking create a new agent tool, you're basically exposing all these capabilities as tools that any agent can leverage from their LLM interface of choice to call and execute actions. And the software here really enables this process very seamlessly for you because it pre-populates tool description, inputs, and outputs that already meet MCP standards. So I'm going to go ahead and publish it. And what this means is that this entire work that we've done so far is not just a data pipeline, it's not just a model anymore or just a dashboard, but it just became a tool that any agent can call and any user can interact with to make decisions. As a final part, I'm going to know, let's see how this experience, now that I've done all my analysis and I've published it as a tool for agents to use, let's see how this experience works for the store manager, which is a front-end user of the grocery store. In this case, the store manager and the store has a Claude agent, where as a store manager, I can ask questions based on alerts that I received from the dashboard. So I'm going to ask, hey, Claude, I received a restock notifications for limes at store 27 in Dallas. What should I do? Claude, what it's doing now is calling the SAS decision flow that we just published within SAS Via. After asking me for permissions, because the human in the loop is always important to be accounted for, we're going to get a clear decision, which is restock for approximately 1,040 limes, urgency is medium, and apparently that prediction in sales increase is related to this Dallas Margarita Festival. What I'm going to do now is I want to ask Claude to log this decision for audit purposes. So I'm going to ask it to explain how this decision was made in an audit-ready response. And just like that, we can see that Claude is clearly showing, without exposing any internal IP, which rules were triggered and which events impacted the decision. This is so important because it's really how you can combine the power of predictive and deterministic models at the serving for auditability of decisions, right? As a final step, I'm going to ask Claude, where was this decision executed? And we can see that Claude is quote unquote aware. It knows that this is coming from via intelligent decisioning, which is what the platform that we just used to build the tool and the agent. And this is really a great demonstration of how to effectively combine deterministic workflows with probabilistic systems, which are the large language models, in a way that it's governed, it's accountable, and it's trusted. So SAS Via is being used over the past year. We have created, I showed some use cases before. Other two use cases that we have created this is National Bank of Greece, where we created something around customer service requests. I want to point out that all of them were in Greek language, and it worked. We were very proud to see the results we were able to get. You can see the agentic workflow that was built with SAS Via on the right-hand side, and the results that we achieved and the customer achieved were pretty exciting. The second use case, this is in a Ministry of Health in Europe. Basically, the public healthcare organization, they had a very, they supported more than 40 clinical records applications. So the system received over tens of thousands of incidents per year, but during special circumstances, the center nearly collapsed, receiving many more critical incidents in just one day. So they had a very specialized team of 5 people who needed to find a solution for each incident using their knowledge, and they were able to improve and accelerate the entire incident response management system, building and integrating the team of 5 people with the support of agentic workflows that were built with SAS Via. All right, so that was just a quick overview of the latest capabilities that we have integrated as part of SAS Via, our data and AI platform, when it comes to building agents in a way that it allows you to integrate not just LLMs, but LLMs with business rules, with guardrails, with deterministic models that should be making a decision eventually, always, and all the other components that are needed when it comes to governance, when it comes to performance monitoring, when it comes to rack systems, etc. There is much more that I would love to show you, and if you want to go ahead and book a demo. So thank you so much for that. Here are some links if you want to get started. The first link is our webpage where you can learn more about our Agentic AI solutions. There is a free trial if you want to take a look at it. If you want to learn more about Via Copilot, that is the second QR code. And on the right-hand side, you have a free course, which is how to use SAS Via to build agentic workflows that you can take a look at. It's less than an hour, so pretty quickly to go through it. And at the bottom, you have my contact. I would love to get in touch, hear your feedback, how you're adopting Agentic AI, for what use cases, and how we can partner. So thank you.
Thank you, Marinela, for a great demo. Now looking forward to welcoming our last presenter to the stage, Nick Jablonski from Domino Data Labs. Take it away, Nick.
Thanks so much, Jenna. Let me get my screen share going here. I'm going to click through a few tabs so you'll all see my presenter view briefly, but hopefully you can all now see my slides. I'm going to be talking to you about the Domino Enterprise AI platform and some of the features we have around agentic development, incorporating agents for people who build agentic solutions and models and analytical applications, agents for the consumers, right? You can build new agents to allow people to discover insights and make decisions, and then agents also for governance to understand the work that's been done. So in the Domino AI platform, we think of our product as having 3 major areas. There's a build experience for the developer. This is based on our long-standing sort of model factory approach. We've been a code-first platform for expert data scientists for many years, where folks would come in and build sort of bespoke, domain-specific, mission-critical models that require deep expertise, right? We've never been a platform for customer support or sort of commercial commoditized use cases for AI ML. It was all about the domain experts whose work was critical to their business. And so we've layered in on top of that modeling experience and agent development and agentic experience for building sort of full spectrum AI applications that operate in this domain. And then in the middle of our platform, I'm going to show you what it looks like to publish those results. An application hub experience where you have your consumers come in and get the tailored experience that they need, sitting on top of the deep analytical work that you've done, guiding them to the insights that they need. And then on the right here, we've got a governance experience. For a very long time, for the human user, Domino has emphasized reproducibility, traceability, and explainability of results. And just by the virtue of being a code-first platform, we've had a lot of success, and we've been really strong at extending those same benefits to the agent user. So I'm going to explore this through a specific use case, which is the exploration of real-world evidence. This is a process that a pharmaceutical organization does when they're looking at the efficacy and the outcomes that a drug that they've taken to market is having for patients. And so this is not a sort of commodity computation. This requires deep statistical expertise, clinical expertise, and scientific knowledge on the part of the analyst in order to produce a result. These are results that are scrutinized very heavily in a regulatory context and have like human sort of life or death implications. And so this is the space in which we have always tried to take the human analyst's work and make it absolutely clear how results were derived, build enormous trust and confidence in the way that the work was done. And so the way we've done that for a long time is to offer a sort of building blocks view where Domino tracks everything that goes in to producing these applications and results. So in my application here, you can see we've got a concept of governance and workflow, data that's coming into the project, workspaces, which I'll show in a moment, which is our sort of development experience, reproducible jobs, pipelines, models and experiments, and then deployments of things like apps and agents or real-time endpoints. So I'm going to start, if you remember our diagram, on that left side experience for the builder. Domino is a great place to use coding agents. The concept of a Domino workspace is essentially a web IDE. We are open. We support a wide variety of experiences like RStudio, VS Code, Jupyter, anything that you're used to, and including some proprietary and commercial tools. You can bring it into Domino. We're not the keeper of a single sort of Domino way of doing things. We're an orchestration layer that allows you to bring in the tools that you're used to. And so when I run, for example, a development workspace to work on my pipeline of statistical computations, I get the tool that I wanted, in this case, VS Code, wrapped in a Domino frame with access to source control integrations, the data that Domino is managing my connection to, like Snowflake, Postgres, all of your enterprise data sources flow seamlessly into Domino, usage information on the resources that are allocated, and stuff like that. And then inside this experience, the nice thing today is that you can ask your coding agent of choice, and we support all of them, Claude, Codex, Copilot, etc., what skills are available. And we plumb in the Domino specific skills to help this coding agent access data, record results, manage dependencies, all of the reproducible heart and soul of Domino, build and publish applications and endpoints becomes available to the agent. And then all of their actions, right, are then subject to the same access control and auditability that the user would be subject to if they were taking these actions themselves. So as a user, I work on my deep expert analytical code, right? I'm going to write code that's going to look at patient data, tables of patient outcomes, drug doses, patient histories. I can do this all in a safe and secure way. I know where PII is flowing through the system. This is something that Domino has offered the human user for a long time. And as I build this, I'm going to ultimately run reproducible jobs. If I go back to my project here, I make a set of clinical decisions for the analysis that I'm going to do. I pass my key inputs. Domino captures everything about the specific code commit that I ran, what my code looked like, what the inputs were, what hardware it ran on, can reproduce all of its dependencies indefinitely into the future, and knows exactly which tables were accessed in terms of input data. And so the output of this, right, becomes a sort of report, right? This is a sort of deep, complex clinical analysis, things like attrition tables, which patients are we including or excluding, how are we thinking about adverse effects and stuff like that. This is the sort of output that the expert cares about. Once you've got this, though, you want to take it and publish it. You want to make it consumable and interpretable by the stakeholders who need to see it. And they may not have this level of expertise. They need a more guided experience. And so in addition to the coding agent helping me build my analytical pipeline, the coding agent in Domino helps me build apps. Inside my same repository here, I've got app configuration that helps me publish a sort of Domino optimized React front end. The coding agent figures out how to deploy and host it. You get a sort of seamless Vercel-like experience of just describing your app. And then when you publish it in Domino, you get an experience that looks kind of like this. It is wrapped right in a Domino frame, but this is the user authored code sitting underneath. And so when I click this explore button, I can send this URL to my stakeholders. They drop right into a familiar cohort view. They've got a handful of critical tabs here. My agent has helped me configure what these panels should look like, what charts and tables are important to include. Domino also includes the ability to snapshot immutable files that are associated with an output. In this case, we're using that to capture rationale. And we can distinguish between agent written and human written decisions and keep a log of all the decisions that were made. And then we've got this concept of provenance where we tie back to the building blocks that Domino used to produce these results. The data connector, the immutable snapshots of outputs, the specific job that ran, the git commit of the code that was used. And we layer on an AI data explorer. And so the user can come in and ask a question: what proportion of patients had prior relevant medications before they show up in our inputs? And the agent can write a SQL query against this output table and return the results to the user. And then Domino is also, if we go look at the the agent entity itself here, Domino is also tracking all of these agentic interactions. So the user writes an application, they ask their coding agent to build an agent for the user. Oh, I'm having my own live demo moment here. Ask the agent to layer in an agentic experience in the application. And then Domino can, maybe I'll find another example here. Domino can trace all of those interactions. And so actually, I think maybe I'll just move on and say what I've highlighted here is this experience in the context of this clinical use case. Domino is not domain specific. It's really easy to build similar application experiences with a core UI, trustworthy analytics and data underneath, and then AI agents layered on top for things like finance, right? Market prediction, insurance pricing, claim severity type use cases, fraud detection. And also we have a lot of customers in the defense space where you can build the same types of applications and suites of models for things like defense and intelligence, looking at synthetic aperture radar, putting this through a pipeline of deterministic models, and then having an agent coordinate it all on top. So what I want to emphasize here is we've got one platform where multiple LLM use cases and agentic use cases surface for different personas, but are all orchestrated and all traceable in the same environment. So the data analyst, right, is using an LLM to build the core reproducible pipeline. The app author is using an LLM, this might be the same person, right, to build an application to surface that experience. And then the stakeholder has an agentic LLM interface into exploring that data. And so our goal is to empower speed, quickly build these things, but also the most important thing for us is rigor, being able to comply with our customers' really strict audit and regulatory requirements and have trustworthy analytics underneath. If you're interested in learning more, visit domino.ai. We've got a number of great pre-recorded demos, and there's a contact us button if you want to learn more. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Nick. And thank you all for joining us today. Great demos from our presenters. If you missed any of the webinar or want to rewatch anything, the recording will be available a few minutes after the webinar if you refresh this page. Thank you again to our sponsors from Lumi AI, Precisely, Domino Data Lab, and SAS. Don't forget to join us for our plug and play session next Wednesday, June 10th, where we'll deep dive into demo environments that you'll be able to follow along with yourself. We'll see you next time.